Good evening. Tonight, we focus on the tense waters of the South China Sea, where a new showdown is brewing. The Philippines and the United States are conducting joint naval patrols, a direct response to China's increasingly aggressive actions. These patrols send a powerful message to Beijing. The US and the Philippines stand united. The region is on edge, every maneuver is scrutinized, and the risk of miscalculation is real. This is more than a local dispute, it's a test of international rules and alliances. Manila and Washington are bound by a mutual defense treaty, while China asserts sweeping claims over nearly the entire sea. The controversial 9-line is at the heart of China's claim, which these patrols are designed to challenge. The US and the Philippines are asserting the right to free navigation in what they insist are international waters. For years, Filipino fishermen and military vessels have faced harassment from Chinese Coast Guard and Maritime militia. Now, with American warships present, the stakes are higher than ever. Even a minor incident could escalate, potentially drawing in the United States. The world is watching. Will these patrols deter further aggression or provoke a stronger reaction from China? The outcome could shape the future of peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. This is about more than ships and territory. It's about the principles of international law and the balance of power in the 21st century. Global trade, security, and stability are all at risk. The South China Sea is a critical crossroads, and history is unfolding in real time. The next moves by each side could define the region for decades. The question remains, who will blink first? The world holds its breath. The decision to restart joint patrols was triggered by a series of escalating incidents. Filipino supply missions to Second Thomas Shoal were repeatedly blocked by China's Coast Guard, threatening the safety and sovereignty of the Philippines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has taken a firmer stance, strengthening the alliance with the United States. This marks a shift from the previous administration's approach, aiming for a more credible defense. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty underpins this cooperation, promising mutual support if either nation is attacked. For the US, these patrols uphold freedom of navigation in one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. China's actions are seen as a direct challenge to the international order. By patrolling together, the US and the Philippines demonstrate unity and resolve. The patrols are both a deterrent and a practical tool to push back against coercion. For Manila, it's about protecting its people and territory. For Washington, it's about defending international law and supporting a key ally. The hope is that a united front will prevent small incidents from spiraling into larger conflicts. These patrols are a clear signal aggressive behavior will be met with a coordinated response. The stakes are high, but so is the commitment to peace and stability. The world is watching how this partnership evolves. The message to Beijing is unmistakable. The Philippines is not alone. The US is in the water, and the alliance is back in force. Confrontations in the South China Sea have turned physical. Chinese Coast Guard vessels have blasted Philippine ships with high-pressure water cannons, causing damage and risking injury. In one incident, a Chinese ship used a military-grade laser to temporarily blind Filipino crew members. These tactics are considered hostile and dangerous under maritime conventions. The Philippine government has strongly protested, calling these acts blatant violations of their rights. Chinese maritime militia, often disguised as fishing boats, swarm and blockade areas within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. These gray zone tactics assert control without open conflict, creating constant danger for Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard crews. The goal: make it impossible for the Philippines to operate freely in its own waters. Each confrontation is a calculated move in a broader strategy of coercion. The risk of escalation is ever present. Every supply run or patrol could become a flashpoint. The stakes are personal for those on the front lines. The world is watching these dangerous encounters unfold. At the heart of the conflict are two irreconcilable views. China claims nearly 90% of the South China Sea, citing centuries of history and the 9-line. Most of the world rejects this claim, as it overlaps with the exclusive economic zones of several countries. The Philippines bases its position on international law, specifically the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. UNCLOS grants coastal states exclusive rights to resources within 200 nautical miles of their shores. In 2016, an international tribunal overwhelmingly sided with the Philippines, ruling China's historical claims had no legal basis. China rejected the ruling, calling it null and void, and has continued to build and militarize artificial islands. The result, a fundamental clash between Manila's legal victory and Beijing's military might. The Philippines stands on international law, China stands on power and history. The legal battle is over, but the struggle on the water continues. Each side is entrenched, the world's rules are being tested, the outcome will shape the region's future, the standoff is far from over. The Philippines is not alone. The United States has been the most vocal supporter, affirming the 2016 arbitral ruling as final and binding. Washington has clarified that an armed attack on Philippine vessels would trigger U.S. mutual defense commitments. Other global powers, Australia, Japan, the UK, France, Germany, have all called for respect for international law and freedom of navigation. These nations regularly send naval vessels through the South China Sea, reinforcing that these are international waters. Regional support is growing, with Vietnam often expressing solidarity. The G7 opposes any unilateral changes to the status quo by force. This broad consensus isolates China diplomatically, even if it doesn't stop its actions. International backing gives the Philippines leverage and moral support. China's actions now defy a coalition of nations, not just Manila. The world's attention raises the cost of aggression. The struggle is now global. Joint patrols aren't new. The US and the Philippines have a long history of military cooperation, but this was scaled back under President Duterte, who sought closer ties with China. Despite the 2016 arbitral victory, Duterte downplayed the ruling, hoping for economic gains from Beijing. China's activities continued, building military bases and harassing Filipino fishermen. Many in the Philippines saw appeasement as a failure to protect national interests. The 2016 arbitration was a turning point, legally rejecting China's 9-dash line and affirming the Philippines' rights. The return to joint patrols under President Marcos Jr. marks a renewed commitment to the U.S. alliance. Diplomacy alone hasn't changed China's behavior. The legal victory is now a foundation for action. The current tensions are part of a long struggle over the rules of this vital waterway. The stakes are higher than ever. The alliance is back in force. The South China Sea is a global artery. 1/3 of all maritime shipping, worth trillions, passes through these waters each year. Disruption here would devastate global supply chains. The region is rich in oil, gas, and vital fishing grounds supporting millions of livelihoods. Competition for these resources drives the disputes. Militarily, the sea is strategic for both China and the US, allowing navies to move between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. China's artificial islands now serve as military bases, raising the stakes. The interests of many nations converge here. It's not just a regional issue, it's a global concern. The principle at stake: no single country should control a major international waterway. That's why even European navies are present. What happens here affects everyone. The world cannot afford instability in these waters. The South China Sea is a powder keg. The increased presence of military and Coast Guard vessels raises the risk of accidental clashes. A minor incident could quickly spiral into a major conflict, potentially drawing in the US and China, both nuclear powers. The consequences would be catastrophic for the region and the world. China could escalate with gray zone tactics like blockades or economic pressure. The resolve of the Philippines and its partners would be tested. All sides are digging in, with no sign of backing down. The best hope is clear communication to prevent accidents. Diplomatic channels must stay open, even as military posturing continues. The international community's pressure is crucial. The future depends on caution and a commitment to peace. The world is watching every move. The South China Sea crisis is a global test. It's not just a territorial dispute. It's about upholding the rules-based order that underpins global stability. The outcome will set a precedent for conflicts far beyond Asia. The world economy depends on the free flow of goods through these waters. Disruption would mean shortages, higher prices, and instability everywhere. This is also a defining moment in the US-China rivalry. The strength of alliances and international norms is on display. The stakes are universal: sovereignty, rule of law, and freedom of the seas. The world is watching because peace here means peace everywhere. The story of the South China Sea is a story for us all.